The story you're about to see is a big fat lie. No names have been changed to protect anybody.
Let's get ready to rumble!
And now, the USCFL Network, in association with YouTube, presents the USCFL Postgame Show. Here's once again is Robbie Graham.
Greetings, cartoon and football fans. This is Robbie Graham of the USCFL Network, bringing you the action and highlights of Week 10 of the USCFL's 2022 season. Two more teams have advanced to the quarterfinals, and two more have been eliminated. This week, two unbeaten teams took on two winless teams. Did the unbeaten teams advance, or did the winless teams finally win? You'll know by the end of this video. Before we continue, joining the USCFL is a winning choice. Take a moment to subscribe to this channel and join our team. We strive to be one of YouTube's least offensive channels, providing a different spin about your favorite cartoon characters from the past and present. If your favorite character or characters aren't mentioned in these post-game shows, they might be on one of the 16 teams, but in a second or third string capacity. If so, leave a comment and we'll answer your questions. Also be sure to ring the bell to alert you of when we put up any new video. After a brief pause, we will talk about and present the highlights of an exciting Game 19 between the Sci-Fi All-Stars and the DC Comics All-Stars from a rainy Kansas City. Welcome back. 2 weeks ago, Kansas City experienced a blizzard, and the DC Comics All-Stars defeated the Comic Strip All-Stars 41-31 in that whiteout. This time there was rain, and DC Comics is proving that they can play in any bad weather and come out on top. In Game 4, DC Comics and the Sci-Fi All-Stars met, and DC Comics won 20-13 after being down 13-0 in the first half. As for the Sci-Fi All-Stars, they lost to Marvel Comics 60-17. Remember, in round 3, it doesn't matter if a team is undefeated or winless. All that changes if a team loses, they're eliminated. Just ask Warner Brothers after they defeated Marvel Comics last week in that overtime thriller. In this rematch, DC Comics got things going with a Batgirl field goal. Then Han Solo scored from 2 yards out as the Sci-Fi All-Stars led 7-3 after the first quarter. At the start of the second quarter, Jason Lee Scott of the Power Rangers put up a field goal of his own to go up 10-3. Batgirl's second field goal cut the lead 10-6 by halftime. In the third quarter, both Batgirl and Jason traded another pair of field goals as the Sci-Fi All-Stars led 13-9. All that changed in the fourth quarter as Xena connected with Kimberly Hart of the Power Rangers from 2 yards out to go up 20-9 with under 12 minutes left to play. With under 7 minutes left in the game, Wonder Woman found tight end Stargirl from 31 yards out, and with a successful 2-point conversion, trailed 20-17. With under 1 minute left, Batgirl tied the game at 20 with her third field goal. It looked as if there would be another overtime game. With just 1 second left, Batgirl's fourth field goal gave DC Comics a 23-20 win and will advance to the quarterfinals. The Sci-Fi All-Stars have been eliminated and finishes in 14th place. As for the stats in this game, beginning with the Sci-Fi All-Stars, Xena finished 20 of 30 for 209 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. Han Solo rushed for 99 yards on 23 carries and 1 touchdown. Buck Rogers led the receivers with 4 catches for 68 yards. Buffy the Vampire Slayer led the defense with 7 tackles and 5 assists. Jason Lee Scott finished with 8 points. For DC Comics, Wonder Woman finished 27 of 42 for 274 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. Robin rushed for 134 yards on 37 carries. Miss Martian, a fifth-string wide receiver, led the receivers with 7 catches for 87 yards. The Joker led the defense with 7 tackles. Batgirl finished with 15 points. Brainiac was the player of the game with 4 tackles, 3 sacks, and 1 forced fumble. And here is how the highlights of this exciting game looked on screen. After a brief pause, we'll talk about and present the highlights of Game 20 between the Nickelodeon All-Stars and the Filmation All-Stars from Richmond, Virginia. Welcome back. The weather in Richmond also improved. However, the Nickelodeon All-Stars wished that the game would be postponed on account of bad weather. In Game 3, they lost to the classic cartoon All-Stars 37-3. In Game 10, they lost to the 80s All-Stars 55-23. They knew that if they couldn't defeat the Filmation All-Stars in this game, their season would be over. As for the Filmation All-Stars, they outscored their opponents 66-19 after defeating two of the three premier teams in the league, Warner Brothers and Disney respectively. In this game, Nickelodeon looked as if their season would turn around as midway through the first quarter, Timmy Turner of the Fairly Odd Parents intercepted a She-Ra pass and went coast to coast for a 97-yard return for a touchdown. As She-Ra was struggling in the first half, her alter ego Adora wasn't. From about 3.5 minutes left in the first quarter to 5 minutes left in the second quarter, Adora put up not one, not two, not three, not four, but 5 consecutive field goals to go up 15-7. With under a minute left, SpongeBob SquarePants ran the ball in from 8 yards out to trail 15-14. Then She-Ra began to warm up as she closed out the first half with a 43-yard touchdown pass to her castmate Perfuma to go up 22-14 at halftime. The only score of the third quarter was Adora's 6th field goal. Then she put up her 7th field goal to start the fourth quarter and went up 28-14. Filmation extended the lead further with a 10-yard touchdown run by Prince Adam to go up 35-14 with under 9 minutes left. All Nickelodeon could manage was a 61-yard touchdown pass to Kitty Catswell of Tough Puppy to trail 35-14, still with over 8 minutes left in the game. From that moment on, it was all Filmation, as Prince Adam caught a touchdown pass from his sister. Then with under 4 minutes left to play, She-Ra and her castmate Glimmer performed what could be the play of the season. Glimmer caught the ball from 49 yards out. That wasn't special. But what made this play special was Zuko from Avatar: The Last Airbender had the ball bounce off his shoulders into Glimmer's arms. A not-so-fitting end to Nickelodeon's season as they lost 49-21. Filmation will advance to the quarterfinals while Nickelodeon is eliminated and finishes in 13th place. As for the stats in this game, beginning with Nickelodeon, SpongeBob finished 13 of 25 for 221 yards, 1 passing touchdown, and 1 rushing touchdown. Danny Phantom rushed for 76 yards on 22 carries. Kitty Catswell led the receivers with 3 catches for 69 yards and 1 touchdown. Timmy Turner, the player of the game, led the defense with 6 tackles, 4 assists, 1 interception, and the pick 6 he had in the first quarter. Sam Manson, also of Danny Phantom, had only 3 extra point attempts. For formation, Shira finished 31 of 51 for 449 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Spinarella rushed for 220 yards on 42 carries. Glimmer led the receivers with 10 catches for 178 yards and 1 touchdown. Weird Harold of Fat Albert led the defense with 6 tackles, 2 assists, 1 sack, and 1 fumble recovery. Adora finished with 25 points, the highest score for a kicker so far this season. And here is how the highlights of this game looked on screen. After a brief pause, we will continue our series of player profiles with one of the greatest superheroes of all time, as we will profile the Batman. Welcome back. No matter what nickname he is known by, no matter who has played him on television and the movies, no matter who has voiced him in animation, no matter which version of him you've seen, there's no mistaking he is one of the greatest heroes of all time. For this week's player profile, we are profiling Batman and his amazing history in media and the USCFL. The popularity and longevity of Batman is so great that we nailed down some of his greatest accomplishments in this series of highlights. We're going to start with other media outside of comic books and newspaper strips. The character of Batman has appeared in various media aside from comic books, such as newspaper syndicated comic strips, books, radio dramas, television, a stage show, and several theatrical feature films. The first adaptation of Batman was a daily newspaper comic strip, which premiered on October 25th, 1943. That same year, the character was adapted in the 15-part serial Batman, with Lewis Wilson becoming the first actor to portray Batman on screen. While Batman never had a radio series of his own, the character made several occasional guest appearances in The Adventures of Superman, starting in 1945, when Superman voice actor Bud Collyer needed time off. A second movie serial, Batman and Robin, which followed in 1949, featured Robert Lowry taking over the role of Batman. The exposure provided these adaptations during the 1940s helped make Batman a household name for millions who never bought a comic book. The Batman television series starring Adam West premiered in January 1966 on the ABC television network. Inflected with a camp sense of humor, the show became a pulp culture phenomenon. In his memoir, Back to the Batcave, West notes his dislike for the term camp, as it was applied to the 1960 series, opining that the show was instead a farce or lampoon, and a deliberate one at that. The show ran for 120 episodes, ending in 1968. The popularity of the Batman TV series also resulted in the first animated adaptation of Batman in the Batman Superman Hour. The Batman segments of the series were repackaged as The Adventures of Batman and Batman with Robin, the Boy Wonder, which produced 33 episodes between 1968 and 1977. From 1973 until 1986, Batman had a starring role in ABC's Super Friends series, which was animated by Hanna-Barbera. Olin Soleil was the voice of Batman in all of these shows, but was eventually replaced during Super Friends by Adam West, who also voiced the character in Filmation's 1977 series, The New Adventures of Batman. In 1992, Batman the Animated Series premiered on the Fox television network, produced by Warner Brothers Animation, and featuring Kevin Conroy as the voice of Batman. The series received considerable acclaim for its darker tone, mature writing, stylistic design, and thematic complexity compared to previous superhero cartoons. In addition to multiple Emmy Awards, the series' success led to the theatrical film Batman: Mask of the Phantasm, as well as a various spin-off TV series that includes Superman, the animated series, The New Batman Adventures, Justice League, and Justice League Unlimited, each of which also featured Conroy as Batman's voice. The futuristic series Batman Beyond also took place in the same animated continuity and featured a newer, younger Batman voiced by Will Friedle, with the elderly Bruce Wayne, again voiced by Conroy, as a mentor. In 2004, an unrelated animated series titled The Batman made its debut, with Rino Romano voicing Batman. In 2008, this show was replaced by another animated series, Batman: The Brave and the Bold, featuring Dietrich Batter's voice as Batman. In 2013, a new CGI animated series titled Beware the Batman made its debut, with Anthony Rouvier voicing Batman. In 1989, Warner Brothers released the live-action film Batman, directed by Tim Burton and starring Michael Keaton as the title character. The film was a huge success. Not only was it the top-grossing film of the year, but at that time was the 5th highest-grossing film in history. The film also won the Academy Award for Best Art Direction. The film's success spawned 3 sequels: Batman Returns, Batman Forever, and Batman and Robin, the latter 2 of which were directed by Joel Schumacher instead of Burton, and replaced Keaton as Batman with Val Kilmer and George Clooney, respectively. The second Schumacher film failed to outgross any of its predecessors and was critically panned, causing Warner Brothers to cancel the planned 4th sequel, Batman Unchained, and ended the initial film series. The first 2 films became the basis for the Tim Burton-inspired comic book series, Batman '89. In April 2021, it was announced that Keaton would reprise his role as Bruce Wayne in Batman for the 2022 film, The Flash. In 2005, Batman Begins was released by Warner Brothers as a reboot of the film series, directed by Christopher Nolan and starring Christian Bale as Batman. Its sequel, The Dark Knight, set the record for the highest-grossing opening weekend of all time in the U.S., earning approximately $158 million, and became the fastest film to reach the $400 million mark in the history of American cinema. These record-breaking attendances saw The Dark Knight end its run as the second highest domestic grossing film at the time, with $533 million, bested only then by Titanic. The film also won 2 Academy Awards, including Best Supporting Actor for the late Heath Ledger. It was eventually followed by The Dark Knight Rises, which served as a conclusion to Nolan's film series. Since 2008, Batman has also starred in various direct-to-video animated films under the DC Universe Animated Original Movies banner. Kevin Conroy has reprised his role of Batman for several of these films, while others have featured celebrity voice actors in the role, including Jeremy Sisto, William Baldwin, Bruce Greenwood, Ben McKenzie, and Peter Weller. A Lego-themed version of Batman was also featured as one of the protagonists in the animated film The Lego Movie, with Will Arnett providing the voice. Arnett reprised the role for the spin-off film The Lego Batman Movie, which among other depicts Batman's first meeting with both Barbara Gordon and Dick Grayson, and becoming Batgirl and Robin, respectively. And for the sequel, The Lego Movie 2, the second part, which curiously depicts Batman's wedding to an original character. In 2016, Ben Affleck began portraying Batman in the DC Extended Universe with the release of the film Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, directed by Zack Snyder. A younger child version of the character was played by Brandon Spink in the same film. Affleck also made a cameo appearance as Batman in David Ayer's film Suicide Squad. Affleck reprised the role in the 2017 film The Justice League, also set in the DC Extended Universe, as well as the director's cut, Zack Snyder's Justice League. Affleck will reprise his role in the 2022 film The Flash, also set in the DC Extended Universe. This will be Affleck's last appearance in the role. And of course, Batman has appeared on many an item such as t-shirts, baseball caps, lunchboxes, bumper stickers, window decals, office supplies, you name it, Batman's image or his logo has been on it, including having video games and a pinball machine eventually made. In 2006, Batman, along with the rest of the DC Comics All-Stars, originally called the Justice League, joined the USCFL. Batman, along with Green Arrow, Superman, Green Lantern, and Shazam, makes up one of the league's strongest offensive lines. Although DC Comics has had moderate success in winning games and limited success in the playoffs, they hope that this year will be their year that they can finally hoist the Walt Disney Trophy as USCFL champions. And based on what we have seen so far this season, it looks like they could be poised for a championship run. The following is a brand new music video that I just made earlier today, and it features clips of Batman both in live action and animated from the 1960s TV series, some of his animated shows, and various movie clips.
I want you to tell all your friends about me.
What are you?
I'm Batman.
Feeling the heat, I can't keep Can this be true? Batman and Robin caught in a quicksand cake mix? Is the party really over? Will Happy Anniversary be an epitaph for the dynamic duo? To see if they sink or swim, tune in tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Did you think that I would make a Batman video and leave out the Batusi, a fight scene, or that now famous phrase? Surely you jest. After one final pause, we will reveal the answer to last week's trivia question, this week's question, and a preview of next week's games. Welcome back. Now for the answer to last week's trivia question. We asked true or false. Former President Richard Nixon gave his famous "I'm not a crook" speech at Disneyland. If you guess false, you are right. In 1973, Richard Nixon made that famous speech from the banquet hall of the Contemporary Resort at Walt Disney World in Florida. A plaque in the lobby of the resort commemorates this famous speech and event. Now for this week's question. The category is As Seen on Radio. The degree of difficulty is pro or general knowledge. From the mid-1920s to the early 1960s, shows aired on radio in the same manner as they do on television today. Some of these shows made the transition to television, like Dragnet, Gunsmoke, The Lone Ranger, and what we know as I Love Lucy started out on radio as My Favorite Husband. Some of today's animated and pop culture stars also was heard on radio. The question is, which pop culture franchise was never heard on the radio? Since we stated that Superman aired on radio, he will not be listed. Is the correct answer A, Archie Andrews, B, Blondie, C, the Peanuts Gang, or D, the Blue Beetle? We'll have the answer for you next week. And that's it for Week 10 of the USCFL's 2022 season. Next week we'll have a pair of rematches for you as we will talk about and present the highlights of Game 21 and a rematch of Game 8 between the Jim Henson All-Stars and the Modern Cartoon All-Stars from New York, and the highlights of Game 22 and a rematch of Game 12 between the Classic Cartoon All-Stars and the defending champs Team Canada from Edmonton. We'll also have another player profile in the league. And until next Sunday, this is Robbie Graham of the USCFL Network wishing you peace. Take care and stay safe.
All the characters and franchises mentioned throughout this webcast remains the copyright of their respective owners. They were used for the purpose of entertainment and or education, and therefore no breach of any copyright laws were intended. This webcast is protected under copyright and must not be rewritten, re-recorded, rebroadcast or re-uploaded in whole or in part without the prior written consent of First and 10 Productions, the American Association of Animation, and the United States Cartoon Football League. Copyright 2022.